Welcome to the AI Automations for Business podcast. We're your hosts, Katie and Noel, and we'll be discussing how you can use AI for your business along with the latest news, updates, and automations to help you stay ahead of the curve, allowing you to grow and scale your business more efficiently. Please be sure to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, welcome back to another episode. Hi, hello, I'm Katie, and as always, I've got Noel here with me. Hi, Noel, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous this week. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So there is quite a bit of news. So we always start the podcast with what's new, what are the updates, what are the headlines in the AI and automation world. But this whole podcast is going to be on news and I guess an update.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite a big one.
Okay. So, Noel, do you want to explain a little bit more about what we'll be discussing this week?
Yeah, so I thought we'd go through the drama around Fable 5. So it's
Do you just want to clarify what is Fable 5 in case someone hasn't heard of it, because it is very new. It only came out, I think, like a week ago.
Yeah. So Fable 5 is a brand new model from Anthropic. So normally Anthropic have like 3 model levels. So they've got Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. So Opus is usually their most powerful. And yeah, last week they released Fable 5, which sits above Opus. So it's far more powerful. And looking at the benchmarks, completely agree. It's way more powerful than anything that they've released before. But they've also got an extra layer on top of that called Mythos, which is only allowed for certain big tech companies around the world. So not everyone's allowed that one because it is that little bit better than Fable. And a little while ago, I'd say a couple of months ago, when they first talked about Mythos, they were quite worried about people maybe doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing with the AI models. So they were kind of worried about cybersecurity and things like that. So they were inputting loads and loads of guardrails to make sure that anybody using it could find kind of like security issues on their own software for like big tech companies. But yeah, they didn't want everyone having access to it because they could go off and find different workarounds and hacks and things like that. So yeah, Fable was bought out, and that's kind of sits in between Opus and Mythos. And yeah, last week it got released. I had loads of time with it. I had loads of fun using it. Got loads of usage, and then the US government turned it off. I know they spoiled it.
Turn it off, obviously, for the US. They've turned it off for everyone, all users in whatever country you are in.
It's kind of weirdly worded. So I think that is the case, but there is also kind of like some weird wording where US citizens in the US could still access it. So then that was raising question marks like, well, what about Anthropic employees that aren't, from the US? So they could be based in the UK, for example, like they wouldn't be able to access it. So yeah, it's kind of messy, but I would say no one has access to either Fable 5 or Mythos currently, which is it's kind of worrying, really, actually, how quickly it was turned off. But yeah, I guess the reason why it was turned off is because the US government kind of spotted something in there that they didn't quite like. I think they managed to break one of the guardrails and get around certain security things and do stuff they shouldn't be able to do. And because it's like super powerful, they were like, get rid of it. It's not safe. But yeah, the way Anthropic have come back to it, gone, well, it's the same issues in Gemini, the same issues are in OpenAI models, they're in Opus, they're in Sonnet. It's like, this isn't like a brand new vulnerability. It's kind of something that's always been there, but they haven't publicized what that is. But they have made it clear that it's not just them.
Okay, so what does this actually mean for users? not just in terms of like Fable, but in terms of, being able to use these platforms, and I guess kind of having some reliance on them to run some form of your business, whether it's just using AI or if it's part of a bigger automation.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the first time this has happened.
Mm,
And I think it's kind of been talked about and was kind of like, well, these companies like Anthropic and OpenAI, Gemini, they're all going to mitigate those kind of risks because they want people using it because they're then earning revenue from the usage. So, it's in their best interest that they, toe the line and don't release anything that they shouldn't do. But
yeah,
I think the speed that this was turned off, I think that's kind of highlighted quite a few risks for businesses going forward, because it's kind of like normally what I would do is assess a new model. If it's any good or it fits my use case, I would then swap it out and put it into my automations and things like that. So now going forward for me, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to wait a couple of weeks before
yeah,
I'll test it, but then I'll
yeah,
wait a couple of weeks and then see if there's any backlash.
yeah,
Because having that turned off, there was a few press releases about it, but it wasn't that well known, and you wouldn't know about it until like your automation started failing and you start getting emails from Zapier or Make going, "This is all broken."
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't know that it had been turned off. And I think I said to you, it must have been Sunday, oh, I can't use Fable. And you
Mm.
were like, oh, it's been switched off. And I was like, what do you mean it's been switched off? And like you told me the news, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I was thoroughly enjoying using Fable.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's an incredible model. It really
Yeah,
is.
it was good. So going forward for you, Noel, you're not going to jump straight in to switch into a particular model as soon as it's released, even though, it's going to be better and have, newer
Yeah.
features, just because now you're thinking, well, actually, if I jump too soon and change everything over, actually it can be pulled or it can have some sort of issue, whatever issue that might be.
Mm.
And you're thinking, you're going to be spending this time swapping it over to a new model. And then if you had done that, say at the start of the weekend,
Mm.
by Sunday evening, UK time, you would have then been swapping it all back over.
Yes. Yeah, which depending on how many automations and apps you've got, that could be quite painful, can't it? So
Yeah,
I mean, worst case, we could have been on holiday and then having my automations just not working.
yeah,
And I wouldn't be able to then get in and change them. It's there's
yeah.
quite a risk. Yeah.
Yeah, or for people who, don't work from home, maybe that, they are in an office,
Mm.
so they might not have noticed that until they have gone in Monday morning, and actually Monday morning they're putting out fires
Yeah.
rather than just kind of like cracking on with their day. They would have spent the day,
Mm.
working out, how to change this back, and, spending what could be hours
Mm.
essentially swapping everything back over. And then of course that does cost you time, could cost you clients, cost you
Mm.
money. So you're going forward with like some caution.
Yes. I would still use it within like chat and things like that. That's
Yeah,
fine. I use Claude Code a hell of a lot on the desktop app, so I'm absolutely going to hammer it once it comes back. It was brilliant for coding. So,
yeah,
yeah, I would still use the latest models for that. But yeah, if automation or within apps, then I'd probably not go straight in. Although with like Fable as an example, that was I wouldn't have put it in my automations anyway, just because of the cost. It was double the cost of Opus.
wow,
Um,
okay,
so yeah, it was getting pretty pricey. So if
yeah,
you've got lots of things going through AI in your automations, that was going to cost you, tens or hundreds of dollars just to run it, where Sonic could have just done it for like 20.
Mm.
The price difference between Sonic, which is still a very, very capable model, to Fable is huge.
Yeah.
So yeah. For me, it's only ever going to be used for coding stuff,
Okay.
and building things. Or just chatting with. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Mm.
So, Noel, is there anything else that we can do to protect ourselves when it comes to like our AI and automations access?
Yes, there is. It's basically there's loads and loads of open source models available on the market. You've got your things like your DeepSeek, you've got your K 2.5, all of your Chinese models. You've got Mistral from France and stuff like that. So there's loads and loads of lightweight and open source models that you can download. You can host them. If you've got a good enough computer, you could host them locally on your computer. You could host them in the cloud. But essentially, you can even train them as well. So you could do your own fine tuning if you so desire and things like that. So, but what that means is then once you have that model, you can, then attach it into your automations, and, that model will always be there, providing your server is up and running and it has access to it. But so it kind of like saves you from all of this issue. So if the US government go, well, that's it, I'm turning off OpenAI, Anthropic, and Gemini, all three are going.
Yeah.
You could sit in your office and with a smiling face go, well, it's all right. I've got whatever model that I've got on the VPS somewhere, which is continually working and things like that. So yeah, there are those sort of options available, but there is a bit of a trade-off, I would say, in terms of quality of output. So a lot of the open source are a bit, how do I put it? They're not as good as the big models from the big three providers. So you'll soon spot that. So yeah, it's kind of, I would have that running like automations which are fairly basic and not too heavy on the need for AI. Have it there. Maybe it's like categorizing stuff. Maybe it's writing summaries and things like that. That sort of thing, it'll do perfectly fine. But like complex stuff, like writing full documents and things like that, maybe not. So,
Yeah.
like I say, they're all different. They're all they're all upgrading just as quick as the main models. So, there's lots of options out there. But yeah, you could definitely do that. And also from a business perspective, you own that model as well, technically. So only your data is in there, only you access it. So it's not going off to the US or China or anything like that. It could be hosted within your country, which could be a requirement for your business and your clients. They might say it has to be in wherever you are.
Yeah.
So that is a way to get around it. But yeah, for me, I think this whole situation has definitely been a bit of a wake-up call.
In what sense do you say that? Like, it's been a wake-up call, but like, why are you saying that? Can you explain maybe, like, to who's listening, why you feel that way?
I think it's just I think for me, like the biggest thing from it was the speed and like the total loss of access to a model. So, like I say, I was using it all last week. It was fabulous. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was doing things that Opus 4.8 could only dream of when it was coming to coding, which was brilliant to see. So yeah, I think especially for people that are kind of like outside of the US or say, I guess like China is the other big country with loads of AI models. It's kind of, I think it makes us, a bit more wary. These countries can just turn it off, without any prior notice. It could be there 1 minute and gone the next. So that's kind of the wake up call. And yeah, hopefully one day in the UK we'll have our own frontier model, and
that would be good.
That would be very handy, wouldn't it? But yeah, I think going forward, I think like lots of other countries will probably look at that as well, because some things that were coming out in the UK in the news was like there was like medical laboratories and stuff using Fable 5 for research purposes and things like that. And now all their research has kind of stopped. You know,
Yeah.
they were enjoying that great model, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and then Opus 4.8 is probably just not up to snuff for what they wanted. So yeah, it does have a lot of big real world impacts. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that Fable's going to get switched back on? Are they just like ironing out some problems? What's going on with it? What do you know?
Well, they've been very quiet officially since it got turned off, but apparently some of their engineers are now in Washington having a chat with the US government and stuff like that to try and iron out this problem. But I would there's also a lot of chatter about it never coming back because it's maybe too powerful and maybe too much too soon for the consumer market, which I kind of get. It can be a bit disruptive when you have such a leap like that. But from looking at it from a business perspective, having a model that's twice the price of your most expensive model currently, having that turn back on is only going to be a good thing when it comes to making money. So I would have thought Anthropic would be doing absolutely everything to make sure this model can be turned back on so they can start making more money off of people using it and things like that. So yeah. So hopefully it's going to come back soon. But
yeah,
as of yet, no word just yet. Which is
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there has been many interesting and thought-provoking takeaways from this week's episode. Thanks, Noel, for sharing your knowledge as always. And thank you so much for listening. We hope you've really enjoyed this episode. And we will catch you next time for another one very soon.